What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know we we get it in. But before we get it in, let's get this Stas ass intro in. Palabra. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate you, man. I'm very humbled. So in the spirit of Halloween, here's another ghost story, man. Hey, you could fact check it. You could do what you got to do, but there ain't no denying. You ask anyone from Merced County about the witch or the ghost of Yosemite Lake, and they're going to say, palabra. They're going to say, word. That's what you heard, right? So welcome back to Super Gunner episode 11, man. These ones just keep on pushing, right? And I want to tell you guys a story about my interaction and me actually seeing a real life ghost. Not for the first time, probably not the last time, because I'm a spiritual person and it seems like spirits are around me. If you've ever watched any of my videos, there's been a lot of people that have seen orbs flying around. At first, I thought it was cucarachas or just lint, but no. When I doubled back and I looked, it was some orbs, right? So I don't know if it's my Theo or my good homies surrounding me with their blessings and looking out for me, or some evil intentions. Either way, I'm still here and I'm still rocking. Let's go. So I got a lot of Asian homeboys, right? Or I had a lot of Asian homeboys that I grew up with, I went to school with as a young kid. And after doing my YA time, we kind of hooked back up. Some of these guys, they were from MOD. Now, for those of you that don't know what MOD means, don't do no research on it because it ain't for you. But the Menace of Destruction or Masters of Destruction, they changed their names a couple times, were definitely a Hmong gang in Merced that were not to be played with whatsoever. Luckily for me, I was cool with most of them because I grew up with them, went to school at a very young age, elementary school. And so a lot of the leadership in Merced, where it has been alleged, it started, there's some people that say it started in Fresno, some in Stockton. Look, man, from the history lesson I was taught, it was a small group that started in Merced and spread, right? But whatever, it's your story and you could tell it how you tell it. I'm just saying these guys I was around, they were heavy hitters. Okay. But one thing about Asians, man, once you're cool with them, they're like Usos. They're the other car, right? Once you're cool with them, you're cool with them. As long as you don't go fucking with their sisters, their family, or their money, everything's going to be straight. And I always knew, man, that if I got into a tricky situation, I could pull up on an Asian cat. And they always had them things that'd go tang, 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 right? They weren't playing. And so I had one of my Asian partners, man, that I actually was in YA with. His name was Booger. He was a good ass, solid dude from MOD. And one thing about Asians, if you've ever been around them, coolest individuals, just like Usos, they like to fish. Fishing is their priority. Okay, fishing and drinking sake, and not necessarily in that order, right? They like to drink the sake while fishing. So, anyways, I was fucking around with one of my homeboys, Shorty from MOD, and Booger. One day I was chilling at their pad and they're like getting all their fishing stuff together. I said, man, what are you guys doing? This, man, we're about to go out to the lake fishing. I said, man, there ain't no fucking fish at the lake. Growing up as a kid, man, I've been to the lake several times. They ain't never felt no fish past my leg or anything. But they were like, nah, if you go on the other side of the lake, bro, that's where the fish are at. I said, I don't even know how to get to the other side of the lake. They said, we do. You want to roll? And I said, hell yeah, let me go to my pad real quick, get my fishing equipment. Let's go, right? So they were like, hey, now you don't have to go right now. Let's kick back and drink a little bit. We're not going to the night. We're going to try to catch some catfish. I said, ain't not a damn catfish in the lake. They said, well, we're going to catch some, right? Don't even trip. So the homeboy Shorty was like, these are MOD guys, straight up Asian cats, right there. He's like, hey, nah, motherfucker. I catch a big old catfish, motherfucker. I was like, oh, is that right, motherfucker? Well, let's go. So I got to about 6 or 7 o'clock. It was summertime. I'll never forget, man. It was the evening. And I was like, how do you even get to the other side of the lake? They say, man, you just keep on going. You go all the way around. I was like, all right, cool. So let me tell you a little history about Yosemite Lake. It's the one and only thing we got popping in Merced County, right? A lot of people go to nightclubs. We have a few clubs, man, but it just wasn't nothing too major, right? Everybody went to the Hacienda, the House 2, or everybody went to Maloney's back in the days, right? Mulligan's was popping when it was popping. And then, of course, you had the Casita, just different little spots. But for the most part, if you want to do anything in Merced, especially in the summer, everybody goes to the lake. Now, this is pre-University UC Merced. UC Merced was not even built yet. It wasn't even thought about. At least we didn't know shit about it, right? So you have to drive straight down G Street all the way out to the cuts in Merced past the college, the little community college, and keep on going out in the cornfields, right, way out in the middle of nowhere. And there's a lake out there. It's a man-made lake. Okay, now here's a history lesson. There's a castle or an alleged castle. It looks like a castle that's built under the lake. And as we were kids, man, we were always told that there was an old witch that walks on the water out there by the castle. Now, no one's ever been able to swim to the castle. People said they've done it. Look, there was buoys and things that blocked you from doing all that. And it's far. It's pretty far distance. But you could definitely see the spire of, I think that's what it's called, the spire of the castle sticking up out the water, right? And it's got like this little bridge thing. And I don't know if it's a water filtration unit that they use to do whatever they're doing to the lake, or it's used to pump water into the lake. But I always seen it as, hey, man, it's just a bullshit story. There's no old lady that died or anything like that. Well, okay, here's the trip. So that land where the lake was built, there was a rich couple that lived there. There was an old lady and an old man. And when the old man passed away, he left all the land to his wife. Now, his wife, for whatever reason, decided that she wanted a lake built around. They're saying it's a house. People have been under there. Ain't no fucking house. It's just a spire that they built, right? But this was the old legend. This was the old story. I do know for facts there was an old rich lady, and she left that land to the city of Merced County. And she is also the one that donated the majority of the money and the land for them to build UC Merced. That's a fact, right? So the story goes that she had a daughter that lived with her, and that when they built the lake, her daughter drowned in the lake. I don't know if that's the truth or not, but there's a lot of different variations of stories. Some people say that she's a white witch and it's the old lady that just comes out and shows herself to people, and she's looking at it, kind of like La Llorona, right? She's looking for her daughter. Some people say no, it's the actual daughter. That's her spirit is trapped right there at the lake. I don't know. There's been I had several homeboys that said they seen it, but I called bullshit because we used to go late night to party all the time, bonfires, you know what I'm saying, when the lake was closed, and never, I mean, I looked a couple times. There's an actual, like, not a boardwalk, but it's kind of like a round bridge that you could walk on, and you could see the spire thing sticks out. It's directly to the left of that. And you could actually go on there, and that's about as close as you're going to get unless you go the back way. Well, guess what? Me and my Asian homeboys were going the back way. We were going through the back door, right? So, I remember as we're driving, right, we drive past it. We drive past the spire thing, and I start telling the Asian homies the story. Now, one thing about Asians, they believe in all the supernatural shit. They got some shit going back to Hong Kong or wherever the fuck they're from, right? Vietnam, that's some crazy shit, right? They could tell you some crazy stories. They used to tell me some stories, have me shook up, and I'll tell those eventually, right? Maybe even this week. One never knows, does one. But I start telling them, hey, you guys ever seen the White Witch out here? And my homeboy Tang, his name was Tang Lee, right? And he was a Hmong homeboy. He was also from MOD because I went out. There was 5 of us. It was me, 4 homies from MOD. Well, one from HBO. It's another gang. They were cool with MOD, and then 3 MODs: Booger, Tang, Shorty, and then the other cat that they were with. His name's Pac-Man, right? Which was I actually knew Pac-Man from way back in the days. He actually went when I was on the run for a murder case. He went with me. Anyways, I'm hooked up with the Asians and we're cruising. We got our fishing stuff, and I start telling the story. You guys ever seen? And Tang's like, yeah, I seen her. And the way he said it was matter of fact. Like, he wasn't playing. He was like, yeah, I see her all the time. I come out here fishing by myself all the time. He said, I seen her, but she don't bother me, so I don't bother her. I said, bro, you're bullshit. You ain't never seen. You would have ran quick as a motherfucker. He said, I did cut. I did run, right? He said, but shit, I just ran to my car and got my thing. Then I was good. I said, bro, you can't shoot a fucking a ghost, right? So anyways, we had that little conversation, and we're back there and we're fishing. Okay. So as we're fishing, what happens is we catch a big ass striper, a big one, like the biggest striper I ever seen. I hadn't seen a striper like that since I went fishing at the Delta in Sacramento, right? And my Asian homeboy Pac-Man, he's like, hey, I told you they're out here. I told you, cuz. And I'm like, they are fucking out here, right? So now we're really, you know how you get excited when someone catches a big ass fish, like everyone's trying to do it, right? Everyone's trying to like cast out there and really get one, because it's like up until that part, I didn't believe they were out there. Now, I remember as a young kid, I used to see the Asians. There's like a little, not an island, but it's kind of, I don't know. They have, that's where that video was filmed by Darkroom Familia or Lowdown, you know, by the dozen. It's like a little hall that's on like I guess it's like a little man-made island thing that they have, and people go there and they have like banquets or whatever. Anyway, there's a little marsh through there, man-made marsh, and that's where there would be fish, but they'd be little ass fish. So you don't count those, right? So I knew there was something out there, but the Loch Ness Monster wasn't fucking out there. I knew that, right? So anyways, it's getting darker where none of us are getting bites or nothing. And I'm like, man, I'm hungry. And the Asian homeboy's like, man, I bought some padak and sticky rice. I said, what's that? Right? I hadn't ate that since I was a young kid, so I forgot. And my Cambodian partners, man, used to put me up on food, man. And all my Vietnamese partners used to put me up on food. He was like, padak and sticky rice. It's like a fish hot sauce with sticky rice. They love some sticky rice, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'll fuck with it, right? So we got hot dogs, man. They put a little fire. They start roasting the hot dogs. Nope, I didn't eat them the long way, right? But they started roasting hot dogs. So we got hot dogs, we got padak, we got sticky rice. You know, Asian shit. We're out there fishing. We're doing it. We're having a good time. We're sipping, man. I ain't even gonna lie. We were sipping on Chirihu juice, Bud Lights. Back then, they were still good to drink, right? And we're getting faded. And I go to take a piss. And so I'm like, man, I got to take a piss. I tell the homies, I'm gonna walk down a little bit so I'm not right there pissing on the Asian bonfire, right? So they're like, all right. Now, when the homeboy caught that big ass fish, his hands got all fucking, they gutted it right there. Like, we'll cook this motherfucker tonight. They're not playing, right? Asians get straight to it. And he gutted that big old motherfucker and he got like all this blood all over his hands. So as I'm walking to go take a piss, he had took off already, like maybe 5 minutes before me, because he had all the blood all over his hands. His pole kept slipping and shit. So he's like, man, I got to go clean all this fish shit off my hands. So he had walked a little bit further down where he can get to the rocks right there and just wash his shit off. And he said, I don't want to wash it right here because the fish will smell it and then we won't get no bites and shit. I said, all right, cool. Asians know what they're doing. They can catch fish like a motherfucker, man. That's a fact. So as I'm walking to take a piss, I walk past him and this fool's like this. And he's stuck. And I'm like, hey, what's up? Are you good, bro? And he can't say nothing. And he said, I fucking seen her. I seen her, right? And I was like, you seen what? He's like, I seen the white witch. I said, nah, hell no. So I immediately looked towards this castle, this spire thing that sticks out of the water, right? And I'm looking and I'm like, nah, I don't see nothing. And so I'm like, bro, you're tripping. He goes, nah, fuck that, bro. I'm out of here. I seen her, right? That fool still got the bloody shit on his hand. He never even washed his hands yet. He's just stuck like that. And I was looking at, now one thing about Asians, man, they're not liars. They don't lie. They don't make shit up. They tell you what it is. And if you don't like it, they'll just shoot you straight up. Pretty much my interaction with them, right? So I'm looking at him. I'm like, for reals, bro? He's like, for reals. I was like, man, I got to take a leak out, so I ain't tripping. So I'm walking a little bit further and I whip my shit out, right? And it takes me a minute to do that, ladies that are watching, right? And as I do that, I'm looking, I see like an orb. It looks like an orb, like a bright light. Now, I know I told you guys in my last video, the one about the Southsider ghost at Winton Barrio Parque, which is facts, right? And there I kept seeing a flashing light. And I thought it was just like a house with one of those lights because it was like beaming. This was different. This was like, it looked like a firefly or something, like an orb kind of thing. It was going back and forth and then it started getting brighter and then it would dim. Then it started getting brighter and then it would dim. And so I'm tripping out there like, did they put some new lighting? And I know he said he just seen the white witch. I don't believe that shit because I had been hearing this story since I was a little kid. And I, even though I had homeboys that would say they seen it, then I had homeboys that would tell stories and then later on be like, nah, I was just bullshitting, fool. So I was like, look, that's just a fairy tale or a story that people put out there to scare people, right? Just like they said, oh, this is a castle that's built underwater and people drowned and there's a daughter. And look, ain't no fucking castle. It's man-made. Castles are man-made too, but you know what I'm saying? It was not made. There's not a house under there. So as I'm pissing, man, I see this light and it like kind of goes behind the spire. And that's when I know, okay, that's a firefly or something's tripping, right? So the Asian dude comes walking in and I'm shaking my shit off and my shit's going like this. And as I shake him off and I throw him back in, I roll him up and I throw him back in, right? The Asian homie comes up to me. He's like, hey, bro, let's go, man. Let's go tell the homies. Let's go. I'm telling you. And I'm like, what's up, bro? He's like, man, I know what I seen, bro. I'm telling you, I seen a fucking old lady in a white dress and she was right there on that fucking, right by that thing. And I said, was she in the water? He said, nah, she was right on the thing. I said, well, maybe it's someone out there, bro. He said, fuck no, bro. I'm telling you, man, that was a ghost, homie. She looked right at me and he said, I just froze. That's when you came up. I said, well, I didn't see shit. He said, I know what I seen, bro. I don't give a shit. So anyways, we walked back together, right? And his brother, which is Booger, was looking at him. He's like, hey, what's up? And I've known Booger since YA, man. Me and this dude been since way back, man. He was involved in riots, north and south in Nellis, man. Rocked with me to the fullest. Like, I remember when the Longos tried to run up on him because they thought he was TRG. And he was like, I'm MOD, cut. Right? He was with the shit. But we were in Nellis together, Juvenile Hall. Like, I've known this motherfucker for years, right? And he's anyone that knows him from MOD will tell you Booger from Merced is with the shenanigans. He's with the bullshit, straight up. So he's looking at his brother. I don't know if it was his brother or he called him his brother. He's like, what's wrong, man? He's like, bro, I seen a witch out there. I seen a ghost. And he's talking to him in his language, right? In Hmong. And I'm like, man, speak English, motherfuckers, or you can speak Spanish, and I'll try to decipher that too. But and they're like, the homies are like, nah, fuck no, right? So the homeboy, Pac-Man was, let's go over there then. Let's go. You guys ain't down. Let's go. Let's go, right? I said, shit, I ain't tripping. I'm with a whole bunch of Asians with guns, right? Let's go. So we're mobbing over there. We leave all our fishing gear there, right? We put it all right there. And as we're walking, I see the light, and I tell Pac-Man, I say, you see the light, fool? Booger's like, hey, motherfucker, that's a light, right? I said, did they put new lights or something? He said, nah, motherfucker, that's something crazy. He's like, let's get closer. I'm like, I'm good. At that point, I'm like, nah, bro, I'm starting to believe what the homie said right here. He's like, the homie's like, nah, fuck that. I ain't going no further than right here. And we're kind of like at the spot where we were at when I was taking a piss, right? And so I'm like, fuck it, man, let's go. If we're gonna go, let's go. And the homeboy Booger's kind of like the leader of the pack. He's like, let's go. He ain't this, Asians don't fear shit. They don't fear shit but deportation. Anything else, let's go. Let's kill some. Let me tell you guys the fucking honest to God truth. We walked up and I seen a lady in a white dress peek outside of the spire. There's like a little window thing there, but you can't get into it. She opened that motherfucker and peeked out of it, and I damn near had chorro right there. I ain't even gonna lie. All of a sudden, I needed to piss again, and I didn't even want to whip it out. I was about to piss my pants. I was like, Booger gangster, right? He's walking, MOD, cuz he's walking. He's seen that shit. He was like, I could hear everybody fart all at the same time. Have you ever heard an Asian fart? It sounds like this. Huh? Right? I could hear this shit. I was like, oh, what the fuck is that, right? The homie's like, I told you. He took off running on us. Well, he's got the strap, the big strap. They had a little Tech 22, right? He got the big one. I'm like, oh, hell no, right? Let me tell you guys something. That old lady floated across that water. I'm sitting there looking like, it's real. All my memories of as a little kid looking for her and doing all that floated back into my head. My mom's telling me, no, it's real. That's what they, and I said, oh my God, right? And as we all turn around to run, because we look, gangsters, gangbangers, all that. I don't give a fuck. When it comes to the supernatural, everybody is shitting their pants. Everyone's like, no way. It's more the shock. I was stuck. You know what they call paralysis when you can't move? You ever had a dream that you can't get up or you can't run in the dream? You're trying to run and you just can't go? That's how I was. I was like stuck, and I was looking, and the Asian just all took off, and I'm like, no. And I turn around and I'm like trying to get out the mud, right? Trying to be, because I'm stuck in the mud. And I could hear this lady say, come back, right? Like a crazy demon voice. Let me tell you something. Since that day right there, that fucking day, I have never, ever, ever in my life been back to Lake Yosemite. Never. I'm telling you, look, at when homies go out there, my family goes out there, I'm just like, man, if you're going to go out there, go out in the day, because this apparition or this ghost or this demon or whatever it is never appears in the daytime, right? But look, we went back to the Asian homeboy's house. He was like, man, I'm telling everybody what we seen. That's some real shit. We were shook up. That big ass fish that he caught that he was supposed to take back in the bucket, we left all that shit. We left the fishing gear. We left the bucket. We jumped in their bucket, which was a Mercedes-Benz. Because if you know Asians back in Mercedes, back in the days, they either drove Beamers or Mercedeses or trucks with fucking big ass guns. They were different. We jumped in his Mercedes shit and got back to his house, man. And he was like, maybe it's the rice wine. Maybe it's just messing with our head. I said, come on, bro. You know what we seen. Keep it real. He's like, you want to go back out there? And I was thinking about it like, man, maybe we could take pictures or something, you know? This is back in the day. We didn't have cell phones like you do nowadays, like this shit. We didn't have this shit. Nah, hell no. We had like those little cameras where you got to get the shit developed, right? And or those little fucking fucked up phones with the, you flip it out and sometimes it records, sometimes it doesn't. No one knows how to make them work anyways. That's all we had. So look, God is my witness. To this day, I know what I seen. And like I said, for some reason, I think I'm gifted where I've seen a lot of paranormal things in my lifetime. You know, it hasn't affected my life because I've never been hurt by anything that I've seen. Been moved around a little bit. I told that story out in Napa where we went to a house, me and my grandfather, man, and they moved us all in different rooms. So I've seen some crazy shit. And people that don't believe in the paranormal, it is what it is. I know what I fucking seen, what I've experienced. You know, I'm going to tell you guys a story about some voodoo shit coming up pretty soon. My grandmother, man, used to be all into, it was called palo, right? And it was like some real tricky shit. So we'll get into that. Anyways, man, for those of you that are from Merced County, let them know, man. Fact check it. I'm telling you, there's a ghost out there, man. We seen it. My Asian partner see it. Now, I haven't talked to none of them dudes for years. I don't even know if they're alive or if they're in prison or what they're doing or if they got families and doing their thing. But I remember that when I did used to see them in traffic, right? They used to be like, "We seen her. We seen her, cuz." I said, "Yeah, we did." My homies are like, "Man, you and them Asians were high on meth like a motherfucker." I said, "Bro, we didn't do caca. This is before sharks. We didn't even do caca." Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Do you believe me or you don't? It's up to you. I'm just giving you guys facts. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people, man. This video is sponsored by Vario Liquors. If you're ever in the Turlock area in the Central Valley, go tap into the Vario, man. Go show some support. Thank you.